taxes. Can you pay them or not?
Yes, of course.
Oh no!
My son, John, is right here with your money.
3 days, double what you owe.
And if you can't pay, we take your father to prison.
I brought someone who can help. This is Jesus.
Never heard of him.
He's helping people. I want to be a part of that. This is my chance to show up.
No, we've talked about this. It's just a story.
Papa?
We're gonna need a bigger boat!
I knew a guy who ate those.
The baptizer?
With the honey and the wild hair.
Ooh, that gets me every time!
Tell me about this Jesus.
Jesus is no Messiah. He's nothing.
And sometimes evil men silence those who speak the truth.
What is truth?
This is not the end. It's the beginning.
Light of the world.
I'm so excited this film is finally out. I've been following it for a while, or it's getting ready to be released. I watched it with one of my kiddos last night, and just to see his reaction and just to have another tool kind of in our toolbox that families can use, you know, to share and to talk about the gospel is such a blessing for parents. So first, thank you for doing this, both of you, and the
thank
team.
you.
You're the first to thank us for the movie.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
That's kind of nice, right?
Like
Yeah.
you'll be the
I know.
first.
No, you are the first.
You are.
You are that.
I got a paycheck throughout, and that was sort of a thank you. But yeah, this is kind of nice. Yeah.
Well,
No, that's
listen, I'm in
awesome.
the throes of it. I just feel like, you know, I'm a mom. I have, you know, 3 kids where I'm just constantly trying to pour in, you know, what the gospel is, why it's important, how we love others. And again, this is my bread and butter. This is what I love. I get so excited when we have people of your caliber and talent that are creating projects like these. So, John, let's start with you. And kind of take us back to the beginning and when you wanted to be a part of this, and talk about your role, because I think sometimes when we talk to, you know, creators, and especially when you're talking, you know, maybe film versus animation, some of those roles look different. So let's start with you, John.
Yeah, well, the irony of all of this, again, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you having us. So August 19th, 2021, the founder of the Salvation Poem Project, Matt McPherson, took Brennan and I. Brennan is the president, and he's also the producer of the film. He took us out to coffee, and he literally just said, I felt like in the 90s, the Lord put on my heart that I'm supposed to make a movie about the life of Jesus. And here we are, because my background is Superbook. I produced that for 15 years. And so he said, John, since you're here now, maybe this is that time. So 4 years ago today is when that seed was planted. And so it really just started from that. And Matt wanted to make us sure that, hey, if we're going to tell this story, tell it in a unique way, a way that, you know, because if there's so many Jesus films out there, whether it's live action, animation, TV series, if we can't find something new, then why do something at all? And so Brennan McPherson, like I said, who is the producer, he started developing the script, and really where I think Brennan really kind of really found that moment is making our main character not Jesus, but the main character being John, the youngest of the disciples. And he chose John because he was the youngest. And through our research, a lot of historians and experts and theologians believe that the disciples would have been teenagers. And so it's more of a kind of that coming of age film. And that's what it is. And as John discovers this Messiah, the audience is discovering everything for the first time as well. So we made this movie for everyone to enjoy, but we wrote it in a way that if you had no concept of Jesus, no concept of the gospel of the Bible, this was a great entry point in doing that. And so that's kind of the start of it. And, my role was director. Tom's role was director. We directed together. And in Tom, I love what he always says. He says, if Disney in the 90s made a movie about the life of Jesus, this is that movie. And it really is. It's fun. It's engaging. We strayed true to the scripture beats. And there's moments in there that may not happen in the Bible, but they're plausibility based on that time period of what the people face. So yeah, that's kind of how the start of Light of the World started.
And Tom, talk about, you hear 2D animation, because I hear that a lot when we're talking about this film. And I don't want anyone to go, well, because it may not, there's all these different ways of how you can do animation, but it doesn't take, it's contemporary as all, as anything that we've seen. It's just so well done.
Thank you. Yeah, we're lovers of 2D animation. That was my background. I was a 2D hand-drawn animator at Disney for about 12 years. All Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin, Pocahontas, Mulan. There was about 8 feature films there. And so that's my background. It's kind of why John kind of reached out to me about my timeline. Part of that timeline of John's 4 years was I came in about 2.5 years ago. And that was when we really got going, kind of did a full rewrite of the script. And I helped give some guidance on the 2D animation side. And it's because Matt McPherson, who is the founder of the Salvation Home Project, and really the money behind this, he put in his own money for this. It's quite an amazing story. He said, I want it to be 2D animation. And because I feel like that's a classic look that doesn't go out of style. It's not outdated. It's not old fashioned. It's not cheap. When done right, and if we get the right people, that was his mantra, then we can make something that looks classic, that will stand the test of time. And that's really why we pursued 2D animation.
Talk about coming from that world of Disney and then being able to use, your gifts and talents on probably it's the most important story to tell.
Boy, it's hard to not tell the long version of the story, but I'm going to try and tell the short version, because this was a life-changing moment for me. I had always wanted to be a Disney animator. And when I got on that path, fortunately, very young in my life, it was about 21 when I started at Disney. I was there for that second golden age, right, of all the best 90s and 2000s films. But I started realizing as a believer, and I was a believer the whole time, I was starting to sort of, my sister would call me from she was an old little Baptist, church in Arkansas. And she would say, and I have a twin brother, we both worked on Disney movies. And she would say, people are coming up to me and saying, we're boycotting Disney. This is back, in the 90s. And how can your brothers work for that company and make those films that are, hurting children? And we would go, no. We'd explain, no. And there's context to each of those films. Pocahontas, we were being true to her culture. She's a real person. And they did, pray to nature. And they kind of pushed it further and made it more visual by having her talking to a tree, Grandmother Willow. And so that was the sort of excuse you could say for that. And then for, Mulan, well, they're praying to their ancestors. That's part of their culture. Ancient China, that's what they would do. They believed in that. And so we were just being true to that. But we, again, kind of made it a broad, almost comical kind of a situation where they're ghosts and you could see them and they kind of goof off. And so we kind of played it for comedy and stuff, but it was an intrinsic part. And then along comes a little short film after all those that I worked on. It was called John Henry. And John Henry was about basically that it's an old fable, American fable, kind of like Johnny Appleseed. And like Johnny Appleseed, there's a spiritual element to it, a Christian spiritual element to it, which is that they were slaves that had just come out of slavery, and how did they survive slavery was their strong faith in God. And so we had gospel singers singing the music. There was a lot of Christian elements to it, that you could say. They get married and there's a church in the background with a cross on it. And fast forward to, we get to the point where we're going to screen this for the president of feature animation and the vice president. And it's a small group, but it's only like 10 people in the room. We screen the storyboard pass. We're waiting for the go ahead, to go into full production. And that's what this screening was all about. And afterwards, the president says, "This makes me feel uncomfortable." And my jaw dropped. I was like, for the first time, I was hearing the other side of the story. I had heard why we did all those other films, and they all made sense in context of the films and all that. And I don't think we dug into we weren't indoctrinating anybody, I don't think, in any of those films. But now here was our chance to show the other side of the Christianity side of this. And it made him feel uncomfortable. And we actually did take out some elements like the cross on the church and things like that. And I didn't know it then, but 6 months later, I quit and I went to Big Idea Productions to go be a part of VeggieTales. And I trace it back to that day, because a part of me was crushed in that moment to hear that and go, and the director was a Christian too of that film. And so we had to all kind of bite back a little bit, some of our faith, some of our what we wanted to get on the screen. And it's only gotten worse over there, as we all know. And that's the industry in general. It's not just Disney. But boy, being able to work on Light of the World, it's the dream I didn't know I was dreaming, honestly. When John came to me, I soon fell in love with this film. And I'm like, forget Lion King. You guys got to see Light of the World. This is a life-changing movie. Yeah, and it's fun.
It really is. Have you heard some of the reactions yet? I know there's been some pre-screenings and families that are watching. Talk about that, because I know, I have no doubt, you're going to hear some really cool things that God does.
I mean, we've had a lot of pre-screenings across the country. I was in Istanbul, where over 100 ministries from 70 countries, we screened it there. And we get nervous because the biggest success for our film is once it's released out of the theaters, it becomes given as a ministry tool. So Matt McPherson, when I asked him, once he funded the film, I asked him, what does failure look like to you? He says, failure looks like you guys create a beautiful movie that everyone loves, but no ministry will use. So that's a lot of weight to try to find a movie that's engaging and entertaining and fun, and finding the balance to stay true to the scriptures. And so when we started showing it to ministries, and the reaction was kind of phenomenal. I mean, people loved it. I mean, we were getting comments like, this is the new Jesus film for a new generation. The comments we were getting is, like, we can't believe that you were able to present a gospel in under 80 minutes. That was fun. And it not only just captivated my child, but it captivated them, the adults. And so, and also culturally, because we were very sensitive how we handle a lot of stuff culturally as well in the film. And so, the response has been amazing. And that's why, to Tom's point, why he left Disney and things like that. For us, I come from a generation where it's not about boycotting and that. I come from a generation like, well, then do something better. Do something to fill in that space, fill that void. And that's where what really happened. Because at one point in time, Christians were the influence of architects.
Yes, they were. Yeah.
Art, everything.
Let's take it back, right? Let's take it back.
So the reaction has been great. And that's why, in order for us to continue, because a lot of people are now asking us, hey, what's next? Are you guys going to do, the book of Acts? Are you guys going to do, what is that next thing? And for us, really, we just need that, that strong opening weekend to kind of be that voice in Hollywood to show that, hey, this is, we're a voice out here now, and we matter, and we need an audience. That's why, selling pre-sale tickets, going see in September 5th, that opening weekend, is so strong for us. Is we need it really to kind of keep moving forward. But I do think that this is one of those movies that it is so non-threatening, where you could take a friend, a family member, someone that you may feel uncomfortable about sharing the gospel, take them to a movie that's fun and entertaining, and let the movie speak into their hearts. And we really feel like we made that type of movie.
He is the light of the world.